How did you hook up with Danny?
So yeah, that was just a chance email that one of our, I think it was maybe Cam's stepmom sent over. Yeah, he happened to get it. I think his manager in LA had suggested that he listened to it, and he just happened to really like it. Out of the kind of thousands of other demos he gets every week. So we did just get quite lucky. Obviously, he had to like it and he had to like what we were about. But in terms of him actually hearing it in the first place, it was just completely by chance.
That was just 2019, is that right?
Yeah. I think December 2019 we recorded it, and then it came out 27th of March 2020.
Wow. Just the fact that Speedy Wonderground like to work really quickly, don't they? Their aim is to get it done. When you do a single like that, which is just released on 7-inch, isn't it? I think, or 12-inch.
Yeah.
They want to get it done in one day, is that right? And it's like,
yeah, that's it. And I think so you do all your live tracking in one day, and I think the point of and then you leave it with Dan, and he'll do his own treatment on it and do a mix. But I think the point of that is, we have done recording before with other people, and if you sit on it for too long, you start going down to, that just needs to be shifted by a decibel and that, and you stop hearing the music, and you're just looking at dials on a screen in the end. So the fact that you it's there and it's done, and whether it's perfect or not, it's out in the world, I think is a really good way to do it.
Yeah. So in terms of the album that you just made with Speedy Wonderground, Tired of Liberty, did you have a bit more freedom to do it in the way you wanted to do it, or how did it work with an album?
Yeah, absolutely, because we'd already done an EP with him, and I think that was where we sort of really grew a little bit closer with our relationship with Dan and Speedy. And so we by the time we came to doing the album, we really had this great understanding of each other. So as much as we did want to follow those Speedy principles and do it quite fast and not overthink it too much, we did have a little bit more time to go, this is what we want to do. So for example, when we were doing the album, Dan had this crazy idea to do sort of a curve in the way the sound opens up. So we started the recording, the very first track, People Are Scary, everything completely damp, drums dead as anything, no reverb and really close mics. And then by the last track, which is a re-recording of Generation Game, it's just, you're only hearing room mics, the drums are bleeding everywhere, and that's what we wanted to go for. We wanted it to slowly open up, and so literally by song, we were just moving the microphones back from the sources, half a foot or whatever. So by the end, it's just got this lovely, really open sound.
Yeah, nice. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe when you do your 5th album, you can take, a bit more time, do some more overdubs, polish it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you've come from a very interesting place, haven't you? Because you basically released that first track, I think, around about the initial lockdown, the first lockdown.
Yeah.
And then
it was, yeah.
And then obviously you weren't able to do the gigs that you were planning on doing and everything. I mean, it must have been quite easy to go, well, what the hell do we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the time, of course, we were really frustrated. We just kind of got our first little bit of a break, and we were kind of ready to take it on. But I think in the end, it maybe ended up being a bit of a blessing in disguise, because, having been 16 when that came out, I think we all maybe needed a little bit of time to mature and develop our craft a little bit before we took it out into the world. So it meant that when all that kind of shit show ended and we were able to get back out there, we were kind of quite polished, and we knew what we wanted to do and what we wanted to sound like. And it's also meant we've had all this time to work on this album, which, we'd never say we don't love anything we've done before. We love absolutely everything we put out, but this album is definitely the main offering, and I think the best representation of us as a band at the moment.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I'm glad you stuck with it, and just rode it, basically, see what happens.
Yeah.
And now you're it's pretty much back to normal, isn't it? You got a full tour coming up in September.
We have. Yeah.
And that's going to take you all around the country and Europe as well. A date in Brighton at Patterns on the 2nd of October. But you're from Yorkshire, aren't you? Yorkshire is where you're from.
Yeah,
And you'll be doing your Hebden Bridge Trades Club shows up there, which is basically, I guess that's your home. Is that sort of the home venue, or is it just the?
absolutely. Yeah, we've got a release party on the 26th when the record actually comes out at the Golden Lion. So the Golden Lion's always been, that was where we were sneaking in, when we were maybe a little bit too young to be in there. And that's kind of where we sort of found our love for live music, but also the Trades Club, watching the Orioles from an early age there was, really exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be really special because this is probably the biggest tour we've ever done, going around the whole country and then coming back to our hometown is going to be really exciting. Yeah.
So the Golden Lion, tell me a bit about that because I've not really heard of that place before.
That place is special. Yeah, that's I think the thing with the Golden Lion, the Trades is great and really gave us our kind of first leg up into the live music industry and what we're doing now. But in terms of being exposed to different kinds of culture, the Golden Lion, there's no place like it. We're all very keen on our guitar music, and that is definitely a massive part of what we do. But if it wasn't for the Golden Lion, we'd never have discovered dance music. And I think that's maybe where we get a little bit of a leg up on some other bands potentially down south that kind of maybe get tunneled into a particular way of thinking and thinking that, with this, we're post-punk, we're nothing else, and we can't break from that mold. I think the thing is we had the Golden Lion where we could just mix any random shit we wanted to together, and it turned out quite interesting. But yeah, it's an amazing place. Gig that runs it, she's an amazing woman, puts on all kinds of nights, and it's just a really welcoming community space. It's amazing.
So that's Todd Morden, and you mentioned the Orioles, and there's also a Working Men's Club as well, aren't they, based around there?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think we probably see the Orioles a little bit more. I guess Working Men's Club are off doing their own thing, but yeah.
So there's quite a little bit of a scene, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, there is, and I think we'd never deny there is something going on up here. We're proud that there is something happening up here, but equally we would like to, be known in our own right.
Of course, yeah.
But there is something in the water there. Definitely.
Yeah. There must be
a lot of exposure to creativity and stuff. So it's a great place to get it started, I think.
So have you managed to do any festivals this summer?
We've had Wide Awake. I think we've got quite a few more coming up end of the road, and we're really excited for that. But yeah, it's been pretty hectic because, as I say, we're not overly used to gigging the way we are at the moment. And so it's just been one thing to the other. Some days I've woken up in the van and not known whether I'm in Belgium or Germany, which is a really exciting feeling, but can be a little bit disorientating at times.
Just go back to the album. It's called Tired of Liberty. I'm not sure if there's a reference on any of the tracks to that, but whether there is or there isn't, what was the reasoning? What does that mean, Tired of Liberty? What's going on there?
So Tired of Liberty, of course, we're not saying that people are tired of liberty. It's quite the opposite. We're saying never get tired of liberty. That's kind of the message to take from it. And yeah, like you say, there's nothing directly talking about that, but as a whole, the theme of the album, whether it be in a political or a personal or a drug use context or whatever, it's this idea that we can all feel restricted. And I think what we wanted to do with this album was create a piece of work that people could feel like they've had their moment of liberty listening to, so there's a lot of things about whether it be political restrictions or just, general oppression, just trying to find your best way of staying out of it and finding that freedom, and never tired of liberty.
I get that now. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, because obviously, some of the songs, there's quite, there's nothing particularly flippant about a lot of this music, is there? The lyrics are very serious, but in a I don't know how to put it, really not overly serious, not like ramming it down your throats or that sort of thing, but But obviously you do take some things seriously, even just local issues around your neck of the woods, but also
Yeah.
general stuff as well. Like boredom is a drug, for instance. That song, I mean, is that just? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's so. Boredom is a drug. That one's about our hometown. I think that might have been one of the. So when we went down to record it, we had a week, and some of the songs we finished off lyrics literally the night before. But boredom is a drug in particular is about our hometown of Hebden Bridge, which I don't know how much you know about. Is
No, not
obviously.
much.
So it's definitely a lovely place to grow up. With not saying we've had it tough by any means, but it's definitely got its downfalls, and that being that there is a lot of drug culture, and whether it be you using drugs or not, you get this valley bottom fever where you can feel like there's nothing else to the world, and you sort of you get hooked on this feeling. And we've had so many friends kind of, and the people come before us that have really suffered with that, and again that's comes under the tide of liberty, people being sort of oppressed by drug use and mental health, and that's kind of what we wanted to get across with the whole
Yeah.
album, whether it be in a personal context, in a political context, is just being held back by things and wanting to find some freedom.
Yeah. So I guess when you reach a certain age, things get a little bit. What can we do? What is there to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's a small little town with loads of creativity and loads of really exciting people, but it's just really, like a lot of places, I'm sure, it's just really easy to fall into that lifestyle and that culture, which it has its positives. We wouldn't be where we are, and we wouldn't be thinking about the things we're thinking about without exposure to that. But it's definitely good to keep an eye on.
I mean, obviously you've got a lot of, it's your part of your identity, isn't it, where you've grown up? And there's the song North Is Your Heart, which I imagine is about that idea. Is it not? Or
yeah, absolutely. We have nothing against I think a lot of bands can maybe slag people off just because they're not the same as them. We're not one of those bands, but we are very proud of our northern identity. We're proud to be a northern band because there is a real lack of exposure to northern bands, and that's why I am a supporter of saying there is a scene where we are, because I think if for us to all go against each other would be pointless, because we're fighting for scraps really. I think a lot of the southern bands get the spotlight, and a lot of them are worthy of it, but I just think there should be an equal share of northern bands as well.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. And just about the track No Driver, which I've been playing a lot because that was I think it was the first single that came out, wasn't it? The first track that came out. Can you talk about that one?
I think that one was a very special song for us. I think I'll come on to the lyrics in a minute, but I think musically it sort of really sums us up as a band. I don't know if you know much about this, but we're there's no one leader in our band. We are completely 4 equal parts. And I think what was quite special about No Driver is, musically, none of the parts by themselves should really make sense, but when they all come together, they do. And I think that is, for me, a really nice representation of who we are as a band. And then lyrically, I think it kind of speaks for something we all feel. It's not dissimilar to Boredom is a Drug, about how trapped you can feel and wanting to find a way out from things. And it's not particularly direct, but I think more than anything, the feeling you get from hearing those words, we can all understand that feeling. Whether it be in black and white or not.
Good stuff, man. Well, thanks for taking the time.
Not at all, mate.
Especially on your holiday. And I've just been in the sea, so I look a bit like, I don't know. Anyway, I
think I'm about to do the same.
Yeah. And have a really wicked last day. And when you get back, you'll be back tomorrow. Is that right?
That's it. Yeah.
It's glorious here.
I've heard that 30 degrees apparently. Going from
almost
blistering
as hot as
sunshine
Greece,
to the same thing.